Thank you for that, Mr. Hill. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Our flag is in the back corner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Perfect. We can go right into our liaison reports. 2.1, do we have a legislative liaison report, Mrs.
Yes,
King?
So I wanted to start off, this is my first legislative report, so I'm super excited.
Yay.
Okay. But then also just taking into account that it's February, there was most recently an election, so I just want to kind of set the stage. So our state House representative is Eric Sennenberg, recently elected, covering South Euclid and Lyndhurst. The Ohio State Senator is Kent Smith, also covering South Euclid and Lyndhurst. Looking at the federal level, our House of Representative is Chantel M. Brown, also covering South Euclid and Lyndhurst. And our senators are former Lieutenant Governor, recently appointed John Husted, and recently elected Bernie Moreno. So, for those who have questions or wish to advocate in support or against anything that comes out, those are your best contacts for this district. Okay. Then, specifically, my report will just be going over some new bills introduced in the House and the Senate. So, House Bill number 3, the School Bus Safety Act, it appropriates $25 million to create a school bus safety grant fund. The bill essentially would assist districts with the cost of installing safety features on new and existing school buses. It also increases the penalties for illegally passing a stopped school bus and designates August as School Bus Safety Month. House Bill 28, and again, all these bills were just newly introduced, so that's the stage they are at, it's just introduction. House Bill 28, this bill would eliminate the authority to levy replacement property tax levies. Senate Bill 3 would phase down the state income tax applicable to non-business income to a flat rate of 2.75% over the next 2 years, phasing that down. Senate Bill 7 would require all types of school districts to provide annual instruction to students in grades K through 12 on short-term or long-term chronic substance use. Senate Bill 19, beginning with the 2025 through 2026 school year, would require districts and schools to develop a mathematics improvement and monitoring plan for each student who qualifies for math intervention services. Senate Bill 22, this bill would authorize a refundable income tax credit or rebate for homeowners and renters whose property taxes or a portion of their rent exceed 5% of their income. And then Senate Bill 44, this bill would allow students to concurrently receive an educational choice scholarship or pilot project scholarship, and either an autism or John Peterson special needs scholarship, and make a $42 million appropriation to offset those costs. And then lastly, Senate Bill 62, it's the Senate bill's version of the School Bus Safety Act, which I first mentioned, and it authorizes a civil penalty system related to drivers illegally passing a school bus but cannot be identified, and then the direct fees and fines related to that.
House Bill 28 was introduced by what representative?
House Bill 28, I can find that for you.
Oh,
And then, outside of Erin's comment, that concludes my report.
Look at you, first timer.
thank you, Ashley.
Oh, yeah.
Gave us some education, gave us some information, and a report. I like that in you.
Oh, I think it's Matthews.
Thank you.
Matthews introduced
And,
28
Hall.
and Hall.
Yep.
Perfect, thank you. Do we have a student achievement liaison report, Ms. Falkenberg?
We do. Excuse me, there was not a whole lot of of information about students in Ohio and what has been happening here. But in response to some of the new executive orders, Education Week, or Ed Week, in their research center, did find some important information. One, that only 8% of teachers said that they had taught or even discussed critical race theory with their K-12 students. It is a program that is taught in college in psych classes, presumably, and law classes. A study released this month found that high school students confirm that most schools are not teaching a one-sided portrayal of the nation's politics and histories, but that their teachers still grapple with discussing controversial topics in class. And a sweeping report last year from the American Historical Association found teachers mostly said they tried to develop students' historical thinking skills, teaching them how rather than what to think. And meanwhile, roughly 3%, and I think this is a very important statistic, 3% of high school students identify as transgender, and 2% are questioning their gender identity, but these students face high rates of bullying and symptoms of depression. Researchers and advocates say schools are a vital piece of the puzzle for improving those mental health outcomes and supporting students.
You said 2% contemplate?
I'm sorry?
You said 2% are contemplating?
Are questioning.
Are questioning,
Yeah,
I'm
just
sorry.
questioning, yeah.
And what ground does that cover? Did the survey say where they got the numbers from? What was it concentrated in, or?
These were in the students identifying as transgender, 3% of high school students. So
No,
this
like
just
over, when we talk
Over
about
the country.
geography, like where? Out of the country?
Of
Over
the country, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that all?
That's it, yeah, I'm sorry.
So that was interesting how usually there's student achievement liaison reports, but now it's just like a few student statistics I noticed when I opened up that
Well,
OSBA
there
page.
probably will be more as we go on, but right now with
The climate.
many of the,
Executive
political
orders that are coming out,
issues,
they're trying to press facts
they're not
versus
right.
fear-mongering opinion. Okay. Understandable. Well, thank you both for that, both of you in your first-time roles. Appreciate it. We have a superintendent's report, Mr. Kaple.
Yes, good evening, Board of Education, everybody watching online, guests behind us. I have a few updates. The first one, on February 26th, we will hold our AI-focused professional development in the morning, continuing our efforts to integrate technology in a meaningful way for both instruction and operations. This PD was designed based off staff feedback and will be led by teachers, for teachers, and administration, and will focus on AI tools such as Brisk, Magic School, and ChatGPT, providing practical applications to enhance teaching, streamline workflow, and improve overall efficiency. Special announcement, we're excited to welcome Mayor Ward from Lyndhurst to this professional development, as well as members from the ESC who will be joining us. This presence underscores our commitment to innovation, collaboration, and staying on the forefront of educational advancements. And mention teachers, administration, and also, in addition, our district secretaries under the direction of Mrs. Miller, who's my assistant, the boss, as everybody knows her as, will participate in a focus training on Google Drive and AI as well, strictly for the secretaries. So really looking forward to February 26th. Another announcement that I had on February 11th, we held our first meeting, inaugural meeting, I should say, with the Superintendent Student Advisory Council at Brush High School. This is a new initiative, and it's aimed for, I want to hear student voices. They're the majority, that's what I always say. There's over 3,000 of them. And sometimes in this line of work, we get bogged down with the adults. And I had a great meeting. I have one sitting right over there who's a part of it. The students shared their thoughts on how they are currently using AI, which I learned a lot, how they feel AI can support learning, and where they see challenges and responsible use. We gathered student feedback on how we can enhance career exploration, ACT prep, and college planning resources. And students also shared some ideas as to have foster stronger school pride. And we're going to be sharing some of those coming up in April and May. And as we continued our conversation, and it led to the open basket for them to share what they were thinking, they actually were asking for an updated website and a possible rebrand to our logo. And I was grinning ear to ear, and I said, well, we are right behind you. And so they're actually going to get a sneak peek at our next meeting. And they had a good idea on how we can train our incoming freshmen on proper uses of AI and how to use it, what not, how to use it, and looking forward to what they have to bring to the table. Thirdly, this is exciting announcement. We have our second edition of our Art Connect coming out. That's to all community members, so in South Euclid and Lyndhurst. The second edition of the Art Connect, again, will be the postcard, and we are just continuing to strengthen our communication with all community members in both cities. And on those postcards, remember there is a QR code on those, and inside, once you scan that QR code, you'll get building highlights showcasing student and staff achievements, a message from my office, and updates financially from the treasurer's office. So that'll be a new approach this time. A key addition to this edition is innovation for stakeholders to apply to our inaugural Superintendent Community Advisory Group. So this is a new group. It's similar to the Student Advisory Group, but I'm looking for community input as well. It's a application that I'm asking you to fill out. If you would like to join, we'd love to have a wide variety to choose from. And we will be touching things such as innovation, strategic planning, and community concerns. Members will have the opportunity to bring forth ideas, discuss key district initiatives, and ensure that all voices are heard as we shape the future of SEL 5-10 years down the road. So we look at this as we have the Student Advisory Council, and now I want the Community Advisory Council. So that piece will be a part of that Art Connect. And lastly, there's been a lot of legislation updates, as you heard some from Ms. King tonight. If you watch the news, read the newspaper, website. So with that being said, I want to be as transparent as possible. There are currently a lot of things happening in terms of legislation affecting public education at both the state and national levels. I want to assure you that my team and I are fully engaged in monitoring these developments. We are in regular contact with the ESC, OSBA, legal counsel, and BASA. These are unprecedented times, and the landscape is shifting rapidly. While much of this is still unfolding, please know that we are staying informed, proactive, and prepared. Our promise is that when any legislation directly impacts our district or becomes law, we will communicate a clear and thoughtful plan to ensure our students, staff, and family remain supported. I appreciate your trust as we navigate these challenges together. And I want to give a shout out to our Assistant Superintendent, Melissa Thompson. She is tasked since the beginning of the year with all of our policies and procedure and legal items, and her and I meet daily now as we unfold these things. And anything financially, we loop in Josh, and we're all staying connected. And again, as things unfold, we'll meet deadlines, and we'll be transparent as we go. And lastly, I'm going to turn it over to Maleeka Bussey. She's our Director of Pupil Services with some updates for you. So Maleeka. Yes.
Just to piggyback, you said who we were working with and who we were in contact with. We gave acronyms, but I'd like to assure that people understand what the acronyms are.
Yep.
Just so we are aware.
So the ESC is the Educational Service Center of Cuyahoga County. BASA is the Superintendent Advisory for the state of Ohio. The OSBA is the Ohio School Board Association. And our legal team is our attorney team. Thank you. You're welcome. Sorry, we acronym everything in education.
student over here from Roland Elementary School. I said, I gotta use this mic. He told me yes. He's all grown up and in high school now. So good evening, everyone. As Mr. Kaple said, Maleeka Bussey, Director of Student Services. I want to thank Mr. Kaple for giving me the opportunity to just share briefly a few things as it relates to our Student Service Department. As you can see, Ms. Imler, raise your hand, she's in the back. She is our Coordinator of Student Services. Also in our department, we have Ms. Fasiglia and Mr. Vickers who serve in our registration. So when we think about student services and our workflow, these are the areas that student service covers. Program management and oversight of partners and providers, House Bill 410, McKinney Vento and Foster, homeschooling, intra-district enrollment, pre-K through 12 registration. We support the MTSS process, bully, harassment, threats, and intimidation, coordinator services with our K-12 social workers, House Bill 123 and Senate Bill 288, Handbook Code of Conduct, discipline hearings, family and community engagement, Section 504 compliance, ELL. We assist with principal and assistant principals evaluations, really just in that support area, health services, and then itinerant services for our general ed population. So tonight, I'm just gonna speak briefly about 3 of those particular areas, 2 of which is around legislation, House Bill 123 and Senate Bill 288, House Bill 410 attendance, and then what we're doing in the space of family and community engagement. So when we think about House Bill 123 and Senate Bill 288, Erin's law, it's the law that mandates age-appropriate student curriculum around suicide awareness and prevention, social inclusion, child sexual abuse, and sexual violence prevention. I do want to give a shout out to Ms. Imler, as this is the work that she is currently doing with our social workers, our art connection teachers, our youth development specialists, and our support specialists. Just to highlight our curriculum that we're using for House Bill 123, Sandy Hook Promise, start with hello, which promotes social inclusion, say something, which teaches us how to say something if something is occurring, and then Erica's Lighthouse, which is 6 through 12, which gives students skills needed to practice good mental health, ask for help when they need it, and that is happening in our buildings. And then as we look at Senate Bill 288, this is around the child sexual abuse, dating violence, and sexual violence prevention. Our curriculum for this is Speak Up, and it equips students with age-appropriate skills and knowledge to decrease the risk of sexual abuse, dating, and sexual prevention. And I spoke to our service model and who is administering these lessons to our students. I will note that with both House Bill 123 and Senate Bill 288, our parents, our families did have the opportunity to opt out if they did not want their children to participate. Ms. Emily, you can go ahead and show that if you like. Go back to the calendar. Ms. Emler and the team has done a wonderful job kind of laying out the plan for the year as it relates to how we rolled out all these different components of the curriculum. So again, kudos to Ms. Emler, social workers, art connection teachers, and our youth and specialists and support specialists. Jumping right into attendance, House Bill 410, Ohio's preventive approach to excessive absence and truancy. So before we kind of get into this, you really have to understand the different definitions. And so when we think about chronic absenteeism, we're talking about 10% of total hours either excused or unexcused. And often what we find when we're working with our families is that our families will say, my kid was excused. Yes, it was a legitimate excuse, absence. However, based on the definition, it does not matter if you're excused or unexcused. It still counts towards your chronic absenteeism. Then you have excessive absences, which deals directly with House Bill 410. That looks at excused or unexcused hours of absence with the exception of medical. A medical excuse does not count towards that. And then lastly, habitual truancy, which falls under 410, absence of 30 or more consecutive hours, 42 or more hours a month, or 72 or more hours in one school year without a legitimate excuse absence. Again, noting medical does not count towards excessive, but it does count towards chronic, because chronic does not determine excused or unexcused. So, requirements for schools and districts. When our students hit any of those thresholds, we do have to notify our parents and guardians in writing, which we do. Habitual truancy, if our students hit that particular threshold, remember there are 3 different ways that you can hit it by the hours, 30, 42, and 72. We have to select members of our attendance intervention team. At our buildings, that typically is what we call our student support team for attendance. It usually consists of our building principals, either a youth development specialist or a support specialist, building counselor. Sometimes the school psych may also serve on that. And then in some buildings, they also have the attendance secretary that is present as part of their team. We have to make 3 meaningful attempts to secure participation with families. And then the last thing that we have to do is develop an attendance intervention plan. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the plan is in place for 60 days. And during that 60 days, we're trying to alleviate any attendance issues that may be occurring. We look at different barriers that may be happening to try to support our families. Chronic absenteeism. You may recall, I think it was October, Ms. Bastock, was it October? Okay, Ms. Bastock shared a little bit about the report card, and when she was talking about the report card, she had mentioned chronic absenteeism, so we're kind of bringing that back to the forefront. Chronic absenteeism falls under the gap analysis piece of that, the gap closing, and as a district last year, we did not hit that mark. You either get 5 points or you get 0 points. And so our goal this year, obviously, is to hit the mark. And Mr. Kaple has asked me, along with our building principals, to be really intentional about the work that we're doing in the space of attendance. And so when we look at chronic absenteeism, last year, the mark was 18.3. And Ms. Bastock had kind of shared with you how the mark moves, right? This year, our chronic absenteeism is 16.4%. So that is the target. When you take a look at all our buildings, individually as well as a district, there's 2 opportunities that we can kind of meet that standard if we do not outright meet it at 16.4, okay? The first one is if in 23-24 your rate is 36 or higher, then you can meet it by decreasing by 1.1 percentage points. If your rate is lower than 36.7, then you have to reduce it by 3%. So those are different percentage points and the percents. For us as a district, last year we were at 34.4. So we need to do the second one. We need to reduce it by 3%. And so that's the goal. And then every single building, as they're working diligently, paying attention to attendance, having weekly meetings, and so forth, they're looking at their own data as it relates to were they higher than 36.7 or were they lower than 36.7 to try to meet whichever one best fits their particular school. And so know that all of our building principals, kudos to them and their support teams, are working extremely hard in the area of attendance. So, attendance tiered approach. Again, triangle. There's always triangles to the tiers. Same thing with attendance. And so we have our universal, we have our early intervention, and we have our intense. And again, universal, for all, tiered early interventions for some who need a little bit of additional support. And then our tents are for more students who are facing some serious attendance challenges. So how are we responding to attendance? So we were charged collectively with as departments to do a data protocol. And so in SEL, you have these in your folder, so I'm not gonna go completely through it, but just know that they are having SEL attended data chats where they're looking at attendance data, they're looking at academic data, and really just the whole child to see how they can best meet the needs of our students. We also do a SEL feedback root cause analysis. What is the barriers? What is stopping kids from coming to school on time or to school at all? And so, I don't know, 2021, Ms. Thompson? Maybe, because I came over, yeah, 2021. Ms. Thompson, previously we were using this particular root cause checklist. We tweaked it a little, and we are using it again to try to really look at what are the barriers that are keeping our students from coming to school. And then lastly, I had mentioned when you hit that habitual truant mark, we have to do an intervention plan. And so in that particular intervention plan, this is where we're meeting with parents and we're talking through how can we best support your child in ensuring that they get to school. And then the last thing I'm just going to share with you is just around family and community engagement. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about families and schools and the community partners working together to help our children learn, you know, grow and prepare for their future. In our philosophy really around family engagement is really meeting parents and students where they are, right? And then moving, right? And so again, we are using from the Ohio State Family Engagement Center their multi-tiered family approach. And in that, and you have a copy of this in your folder as well, we're looking at, again, the tiers. Universal for all, tailored for groups, and then intensive for individual students. And all of our buildings are doing a really nice job in this particular space when they are having family engagement activities at their school. So even tagging on to different things that they're doing, we're really trying to build the capacity of our parents. And so let's say that there's an event that's happening. We've asked that they spend at least 30 minutes touching on something, whether it be academic or around the social emotional side of things, to really build that capacity and make connections with our families. And then what they are doing, again, is taking a look at what are the family needs for all? And how is the school going to respond to those particular needs? What are the family needs for some? And how are they going to respond? And then lastly, for those individuals who might just need a little more support. And so this is something that we've rolled out. Our building principals are utilizing, and then myself and Ms. Emler are supporting in that particular space. In your folder, you also have an example, just so you can see how it's laid out. I'm not going to go through it, but I did want you to at least be able to see the work that we're doing, a little snapshot of some of the work that we're doing in student services. So thank you.
There's a line that says the attendance checklist 4 through 12 was completed for students before the meeting. Is it elementary different?
No, it's actually, we're using it K-12. It's just modified a little bit because some of the questions don't necessarily fit when you're talking to a kindergartner. So we definitely are doing it in 412, but then they are using it in K3. They're just adjusting it a little bit.
Are you having a large percentage of difficulty with getting parental involvement on the absenteeism of the students?
No, I think the buildings are working extremely hard as far as their student support teams and really getting families involved and trying to understand. I think part of it is, and even, you know, today talking with someone about, you know, missing school. And before, it wasn't by necessarily hours. And so parents are kind of wired oh, my kid only missed, but those miss add up, right? And so if you're missing 15 minutes a day, right, over 5 days, over a period of time, you're going to hit the hours. You're going to trigger. And so it's really just a mind shift of that attendance is by hours now and that everything is counting. And chronic absenteeism, the key to this, and this whole thing that goes back to even our report card, chronic absenteeism does not care if you're excused or unexcused. And so that's the difference. All of it counts.
That's good to know. I mean, there were times where we didn't have a lot of collaboration, whether you had the embarrassment, it's embarrassing when a family can't really get their kid to school, and it's difficult when the dynamics of home is a struggle. You don't want to sit at a round table and tell everybody your business and your struggle.
Sure.
But I like the fact that it's more perceived of a help.
Yeah, and we're sensitive to that, right? And so no one ever wants to walk into a room of 10 educators sitting around the room and then it's just the parent, right? And so we try to create a different atmosphere and climate in that particular space, particularly when we get to those more tier 2 and tier 3 conversations.
And the different schools, I know we're doing some promotional things to help kids, get involved in the getting to.
And we're still doing some of that. Again, you saw all the items that fall under us. I'm charged kind of with the overarching of attendance, but Ms. Imler supports in that space with our partnership with the Browns.
Yeah.
And so we're doing some of that. And then each building is doing incentives for attendance as well.
Is Greenview still practicing that one model they did last year? Where like a teacher linked up with the students?
Yep.
Do they still do that there?
Yep. So
I thought that was just really a good idea.
we just met I just went around to all the buildings and just did like a mid-year check to see where we could support. It was their opportunity to just kind of tell me where they're at and where else we might be able to support them in that area of attendance. And in that, Ms. Young specifically spoke to how she was bringing back that particular model where she's identifying a staff member with a student. So absolutely they are. Yep.
Shout out to Ms. Bussey, Ms. Imler, who's back there, the entire team. I know they do a lot in the buildings. Mr. Vickers, who was on the first slide, I know he helps with house calls and things like that as well. So it's a true team effort down there, so I appreciate it.
Perfect. We'll go into item 2.3, public comment. Mr. Hill, I do see one. Do we have any more?
I have not received any other ones.
All right, and I do have the public comment, but I want to get it to the last session of public comment, just because practice-wise, the first public comment is for anything that is on the agenda, and then the second one is for anything other than that. Item 3, minutes. The minutes of the special meeting of February 11th will be approved as recorded or corrected. Furthermore, the reading of these minutes will be waived. May we get a motion to approve item 3.1? Ms. Falkenberg and Ms. Lee. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, may we get a roll call, Mr. Hill?
Ms. Falkenberg? Aye. Ms. Lee? Aye. Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. King? Aye. Mrs. Shelby?
Item 4, Treasurer's Report.
Good evening. Recommend for approval. Item 4.1, the financial reports for month-end January 2025. Item 4.2, the bank reconciliation for month-end January 2025. Item 4.3, the investment earnings for month-end January 2025. Item 4.4, we have 2 donations for approval. Item 4.5, approval of then and now purchase orders through January 31st of 2025. Item 4.6, the industrial appraisal company contract. And then item 4.7, approval of treasurer's items 4.1 through 4.6.
May we get a motion to approve items 4.1 through 4.6? Mr. Shelby And Ms. Falkenberg? Any questions or comments?
Just a comment again to thank Bussey for your donation, boys, that mean a lot.
And two things I would like to point out, the investment earnings, very rarely do we have one that is negative, but it's due to the fact that we purchased and it's always in arrears, so it's almost like you earn the interest back. So that's why it looks like an alarming amount there, but I wanted to point that out. It just so happens we had a couple come due and we reinvested them right away, so we didn't lose any interest. And then the other one is, I just wanted to point out the contract for industrial appraisal. This will be, it's approved today, but it probably, we're just getting on the schedule. We probably won't be able to get it done. They probably won't start until next spring, summer time frame. They're so far out, but we want to secure it and get on there. And that's just for them to come in and do a complete, look at all of our assets and tag them, and so we can get a current list.
It's been years since we've had that.
We did it in my second year, so I think this is year 3. You try to do it every 3 to 4 years, so.
I was happy that, I'm with an accountant, because when I first saw a negative, like I told Crystal,
Thank you, Elliot.
Yes.
Hearing no further questions or comments, may we get a roll call, Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Shelby? Aye. Ms. Falkenberg? Aye. Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. King? Ms. Lee?
Item 5, Superintendent.
Yes, under certified personnel, seeking the approval for appointments, a few resignations, as well as leave of absences and a few retirements coming up. So seeking all under 5.1.
May we get a motion to approve item 5.1? Ms. Lee and Mr. Shelby? Any questions or comments?
Yes. Again, looking at these names, Gina Bell, wonderful, wonderful teacher. And Mark Gartland and Kathryn Jordan, I had the pleasure of working with both of them. They're just great people and caring teachers, so they will all be missed.
Hearing no further questions or comments, may we get a roll call, Mr. Hill?
Ms. Lee? Aye. Mrs. Shelby? Aye. Ms. Falkenberg? Aye. Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. King?
One appointment that we had on there is for our new HR director, who has joined us with his family back here, who just turned all red.
I think it's because it's a little bit warm.
Yeah. Tonight, we're excited to officially welcome Jamie Van Eck as the Director of Human Resources for the South Yuba Lyndhurst City Schools. Jamie is joined by his wife, Erin, and his daughters, Kinley and Kenzie. And we are thrilled to have them join our SEL family. A little bit about Jamie. He brings a wealth of leadership experience, having served as principal of Independence Middle School for the past 7 years. He has also served as an assistant principal, teacher, and head varsity football coach throughout his career. His diverse background allows him to relate to stakeholders, staff, students, parents, and the community. Jamie has a clear strategic plan for strengthening our recruitment efforts, ensuring we continue to attract and retain top quality employees in both certified and classified positions. He understands the importance of planning ahead for retirements and building a pipeline of quality candidates. His vision for first and second year teacher cohorts will provide structured support, mentorship, and ongoing training to help new educators succeed, creating a culture where they feel valued and equipped for long-term success in SEL. Jamie has already immersed himself in the world of human resources, participating in the ESC, Educational Service Center, HR training sessions, and has been invited to a local HR cohort to strengthen his expertise in school HR leadership, and has already been trained in Title IX. His proactive approach to professional development underscores his commitment to excellence and continuous learning. Importantly, Jamie has built a strong rapport with our HR outgoing director, Bill Miller, who has laid a solid foundation for our HR operations. Jamie's official start date is August 1st. However, Bill and Jamie worked closely together prior to then to ensure a seamless and handoff of responsibilities. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank you, Bill, for your dedication, service, leadership, and commitment to SEL schools. Your work has helped create a strong, organized, and forward-thinking HR department, and we truly appreciate your efforts in ensuring this transition is smooth and successful. You have been nothing but professional, you've been a great friend, and to ensure that this is going to go so seamless doesn't happen very often, and I don't take it lightly, so thank you. Jamie, we are thrilled to have you on board, and we look forward to the leadership, vision, and expertise you bring. So please join me in welcoming Jamie Van Neck and his entire family to the South Yucca Lyndhurst City Schools.
I'd like to say thank you to everybody, and I look forward to the months ahead, and days and weeks ahead. I think you guys get to say hello. And more importantly, and most importantly, I want to thank my wife, Erin, and Kinley and Kenzie as well, and Bill. Honestly, the whole team here, fantastic. Just this whole process has been great. But Bill, I really look forward to just the opportunity to kind of pick up where you left off, like we talked about, and I look forward to the months ahead. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for this opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And Jamie, your daughters have been more than helpful and respectful tonight. You can leave early and take them to take them to dinner somewhere local. Okay, yeah. Don't feel obligated to stick around. We'll get to the work. We'll get to the work later on.
We don't normally just run right out.
No. I'm giving you the golden ticket.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep. All right.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Drive safely.
Nice to meet you. See you guys.
Welcome to the family, Erin.
Teacher at Parma, right? Parma? All right. No.
Item 6, classified personnel.
Under classified personnel, seeking the approval, we have some appointments as well as resignation and leave of absence under 6.1.
May we get a motion to approve item 6.1? Ms. Lee and Mrs. King. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Harvey. Always said when we have somebody who's willing to take that job on.
Hearing no other questions or comments, may we get a roll call, Mr. Hill?
Ms. Lee?
Aye.
Mrs. King? Ms. Falkenberg? Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Shelby?
Wanted to add one thing now that it's approved. Fill you on the Mr. Harvey. It'll be coming out soon. It's not through us, it's through the ESC. But he has been, through the ESC, who's been approved to read our Gear Up transformation that Mr. Hall presented on. So he's leaving, but coming back shortly.
Okay. It's a good transitional pathway.
Yeah.
All right, item 7.
Under 7, seeking the approval for the following supplemental contracts. You're going to see baseball on there as well as 2 unpaid volunteers.
May we get a motion to approve item 7.1? Ms. Lee, Mrs. King, any questions or comments?
The pep band is so good this season with the basketball team. And I really would just like to give them a kudos. I know Mr. O'Brien works really hard with those young people. And this was probably the first season in a long time that we actually really had a pep band at the games. So that was very exciting. And they were at the girls' games too. So I thought that was very inclusive and nice and fun. So thank you, Mr. O'Brien.
Hearing no further questions or comments, may we get a roll call, Mr. Hill?
Ms. Lee? Mrs. King? Ms. Falkenberg? Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Shelby?
Item 8.
Under 8, Human Resources, seeking the approval for a service agreement, as well as HR Information Management System. So items 8.1 and 8.2.
May we get a motion to approve item 8.1 and 8.2?
Second.
Who is that, Mrs. King? And Mrs. Shelby? Any questions or comments?
Yes, is this a new system, this HR system? And what system is it pairing, what software is it going, connecting with the treasurer's office is my question.
It's not connecting with it. It's the same company. They also do HR. We have it for our requisition approval. We've had it, I think we got it the second year I was here, first year I was here, that we moved to them. And they just so happen to do the HR software as well now.
Bill, anything you want to add?
Yeah, so this kind of takes it to the next level. We've been searching for a HR management system for schools for a long time. SCU just happens to have to roll out something that's really attractive to us and kind of new. And we're going to be piloting a portion of it during a beta test group for that. So it's kind of a good opportunity because they're letting us do that. We're comfortable inside of the system, but at the same point, helping us meet the needs of the community within our office, within the district, really.
Yeah.
It talks with the state software, which is something.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Will it streamline any tasks in
Yes.
your office and kind of double up to free?
The fact that it talks to state software, basically, through his onboarding process, as soon as it loads it in, it will then transmit it over to state software, and Nicole can then start building the employee file that way.
Oh my God, that is so wonderful. I mean, for somebody who has had to do that personally, like, that's a big task.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
It is.
Yeah, that's a huge feat right
No.
there.
If I didn't know no better, I'd think you ain't like working.
Girl, but yeah, that's a lot of work.
The way she said that was like, now I could eat a long breakfast.
That's a lot of work, and I work at the charter school, so I understand that's a lot of work.
Well, thank you both for streamlining some processes. Hearing no further questions or comments, may we get a roll call, Mr. Hill?
Mrs. King? Aye. Mrs. Shelby?
Aye.
Ms. Falkenberg? Aye. Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Lee?
Item 9.
Seeking the approval under business for 9.1, service agreement, and as well as a payment in lieu, as well as a private transportation agreement and a contract renewal, and the OHSAA annual membership. And we have rewire contract on there, and that's it.
May we-
9.1 through 9.6.
May we get a motion to approve items 9.1 through 9.6? Ms. Falkenberg, Mrs. King, any questions or comments? Hearing none, may we get a roll call, Mr. Hill?
Ms. Falkenberg? Mrs. King? Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Lee? Mrs. Shelby?
It's hot in here, that's probably why, our neurons are exploding. Item 10,
Under curriculum instruction, you will see an MOU with our teachers' union, as well as training that involves Google and AI, the ANET Achievement Network, and an amendment to one of our service agreements. So seeking approval 10.1 through 10.4.
may we get a motion to approve items 10.1 through 10.4?
Second.
Ms. Lee, Mrs. Shelby, any questions or comments? May we get a roll call, Mr. Hill?
Ms. Lee? Mrs. Shelby?
Aye.
Ms. Falkenberg? Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. King?
Under 12, exceptional students, seeking the approval under 12.1, as well as our branching minds contract, which Ms. Bussey spoke on concerning MTSS. Seeking the approval 12.1 through 12.2.
May we get a motion to approve items 12.1 and 12.2? Mrs. Falkenberg and Mrs. King. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, may we get a roll call, Mr. Hill?
Ms. Falkenberg? Mrs. King? Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Lee? Mrs. Shelby?
Item 13, Board of Education. 13.1, any information? Any information, board members might want to? Any information? When is that training class? This Saturday?
Yes, we're going to training.
You want to say what that is? You want to say what that is? The class on Saturday?
It is through OSBA.
Mhm.
It's a board class for the day, and we're going to be taking the next level in our training as a board member. So there should be some great breakout sessions, and it should be a good time.
Okay.
So I'll say when I first joined, I did the first level of the class, is like new board member.
Right.
And I'm excited for the next level.
I feel like I wasn't about time in the first one. Like you didn't get as much as you.
Yeah, it was a lot of questions. Yeah.
All right. And who's going? Ashley, Erin, and Crystal? Ms. Falkenberg, you going? You're not going, Ms. Falkenberg? Oh, yeah, you're right. I get it, I get it.
Oh, well.
Well, I'm not going. I'm going to Tampa. gonna
One
be-
thing I did see
gonna be
online
cold.
is the Ohio School Board Association has a Capital Conference that we go to yearly. And I know we have spoken with it previously with the previous administration that was in. But in regards to conference and session proposals, we always get asked why we never present, why we haven't had any sessions. And truthfully and honestly, I do believe we have some sessions, and I do believe that you all have it within you. So I would like to ask, if possible, if we could try to come up with at least one session possibly, that we can present, because we have some really good things that other districts actually could benefit from. And we are no good to anyone if we continue to keep things to ourselves and we don't allow other people to benefit from the access and the knowledge that we have here as a district. So I am very serious about that. I just want to let you all know that is something that I definitely would like to see from you all's offices. A reminder, you all, Founder's Day next week.
This week, Thursday.
What's the 26th then?
Not Founder's Day.
CID.
Oh, the 26th is the play. Is the play. Portraits in Black. That's what the play. Okay, so Founder's Day is Thursday. Portraits is this week. We were invited to Sunview, which is next Wednesday. Portraits is next week. Y'all know what I'm saying.
Founder's Day this week, I can't make it.
Okay, but the play next week. And then we were invited to Sunview on the 25th. No, we couldn't for the presentation that they'll be doing.
Yes.
So we were invited there. And
And
then
the
also
20
Lyndhurst Police Foundation did reach out. I know they reached out to the schools, but I like to parent firsthand information, is they do award $1,000 scholarship to Brush, and they are looking for scholars at the present moment. They have until April 15th to get that in. They can contact Christy Myers in the guidance office if they have any questions, but they hadn't received anything yet, so they were a little nervous about that. So I told them I would put it out there to the public and our parents, so they would know.
The 28th, Friday, is Greenview's Black History Program. I believe it goes from 8 to 10.
Oh, I didn't get that invite.
You could pop in at any time, but I think they're breaking it up into 2 sessions. So like 8 to 9 and 9 to 10, I think.
8 to 9 and 9 to 10.
Yes. And who has council this month? Oh, it's over, isn't it? Yeah, next month in March. You-
You would have said March at the time, I was gonna be out of town, I was gonna have to say April. Oh, really? Why don't we check?
I'm gonna check the schedule for you. Let me look.
I'm in my month.
But I thought it was April.
See, my month already. I'll have to go back to December.
I don't know.
Okay.
And then if it works out, then it's
Okay.
But also, Erin, about your
I was gonna say the deadline is coming up.
Our board thing. So next year, I would expect for us, as a board, absolutely. However, oh, absolutely.
Is March 8th, though, the date you have to declare your intention to do one? I don't think you have to come with the whole
You
presentation.
have to declare your intent.
So you could declare something and then
I
come up
don't
with.
think we will be ready by November with our working
Gotcha.
Russ. Truthfully and honestly, I don't think we will be done with our working Russ
Okay.
to present it in November. I think potentially next year, I think we'll be. We can always present a working Russ. Girl, but you know, I like that. I know. But it's a possibility.
Let's see. February was Cassandra. March, Ashley, the 3rd and the 10th. Kathryn has April. But did you say you want to switch because you're out of town?
No, so I thought that it was the 17th.
No, it's the
I can make those.
3rd and the 10th. What is the 17th? I made you think that. Oh, yeah, the second, yeah. 1, 2, 3, you're welcome. Any new and unfinished business?
Oh, I do have an announcement, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kristen.
If you didn't see it on the City of Lyndhurst page, Seven Brew, the new coffee shop in Lyndhurst, is making a donation to the band department.
Oh.
Really?
And they're gonna present it at the concert on March 5th.
The March 5th
Is the
band
band concert
concert.
March 5th?
Yes, at the high school.
They've been fantastic. They brought in coffee for Brush, Sunview, and the board office, and different
And they
treats.
hired a lot of our students too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just want to they hired a lot of our students. They ain't hired my kid, but they hired a lot of our students.
Thank you, Seven Brew. Item 13.3, Board Policy, First Reading. The superintendent presents the following policies for first read and preliminary review. South Lyndhurst Board of Education will be asked to vote and adopt these policies at the board meeting being held on March 18th. Policy number 0166 is a new policy regarding the agenda. 2265 is a new policy regarding protection of individual beliefs, affiliations, ideals, or principles of political movements or ideology. The next 4 are all revisions. 5136 regarding electronic equipment, 6320 purchasing and bidding, 7450 property inventory, 7530.01 cell phone telephone allowance. So those are all attached, so had an opportunity to read those, so they will be on that next March 18th meeting for passage. Item 14.1, public comment. Thank you for your patience. Is Kathy here? She want me to read it? Okay. So we do have a public comment from Kathy. I mess this up all the time. Covarrubias. Perfect. Forgive me. 879 Richmond Road in Lyndhurst. The comment or question is, I have 2 questions. First, in regards to the Executive Order 14148, can you guarantee students will not be questioned or taken without their guardian or lawyer present? Second, according to the letter sent by the United States Department of Education on Friday, federal law thus prohibits covering entities from using race in decisions pertaining to admissions, hiring, promotion, compensation, financial aid, scholarships, prizes, administrative support, discipline, housing, graduation ceremonies, and all other aspects of student, academic, and campus life. Seeing our student body is predominantly Black, how will this affect our art, music, and media departments and/or clubs? How will it affect the numerous Black History projects or other cultural celebrations? That was loaded. No, it's loaded. Typically, we would pass this over and have someone respond to her, but considering the culture and the climate and some of these things we had on our board agenda today, I want to take the time and maybe start with Superintendent Kaple and then tag in Assistant Superintendent Thompson.
Sure.
And I think it might give a kind of, what do you call it, vantage point of where we stand with this current situation and some of these topics.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Turn it right over to you, Mr.
Good.
Kaple.
All right. So let me hit on the first one in regards to, reading off my paper here that I'm going to look up. Regarding to the students that will not be questioned or taken without the guardian or lawyer present. We always follow ORC and our board policies in these incidents if they would occur. And anytime a principal, they've already been trained, if somebody comes in with a subpoena or a warrant, they know to contact the board office. We are always in conversations with our attorneys at that point. But again, we follow our board policies and ORC when it comes to those things. In terms of Black History Month, recently, I'm just going to go ahead and read straight from the White House what President Trump said. Now, therefore, I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim February 25th, 2025 as National Black History Month. I call upon public officials, educators, librarians, and all people of the United States to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. So we are continuing our push with Black History Month and all of our programming. And in regards to the other piece, turn that over to you, Ms. Thompson.
Sure. So good evening.
Do you have a microphone for her? Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity. With regard to the Dear Colleague letter, the U.S. Department of Education Officer for Civil Rights will often share a message, a letter that will go off to educators throughout the country. In this particular letter that I believe is referenced, I went through the letter, and as Mr. Kaple has already shared, we follow and work very closely with the legislative bodies and offices, areas within the state of Ohio that support superintendents and school districts. Of course, being the Ohio School Boards Association, BASA, as he's already referenced. We participate in legislative webinars, Zooms. We consult with our district attorneys. And then I think it's important to note, anytime that there is any type of federal legislative change, when that information is shared with those bodies, our provider of Board of Education policy is Neola. They are going to present to us whatever we need to do to update any current policies. If we need to review something, that is going to be part of that process. And so with this particular letter, it just came out on Friday, and I went to the website to look at more information, and at this point, and it's even referenced in the letter, that additional legal guidance will follow in due course, and it also indicates that no later than 14 days from today's date, additional information will be provided. There's a hyperlink in the body of the letter, and when I went to that hyperlink from the U.S. Department of Education and the Office of Civil Rights website, the page is not found. So what it indicates is that all of this is so new and evolving that a lot of the guidance information that is referenced is not yet available. But I certainly want to acknowledge that as things become available to us, either directly in this way or by way of BASA or OSBA, those places that I've referenced, or our district attorneys, we're going to receive that information. So hopefully that helps to just reinforce that we are on top of everything that we receive. We are always going to follow federal laws,
legislation, rules and requirements, we're going to honor, bless you, the Board of Education policy and whatever information is prevailing to ensure that we are compliant. And of course, at any time, anyone can contact me. I'm more than willing to sit down with anyone with regard to all of this and share what I know and what is being shared with us.
Thank you. I
Sure.
appreciate that because it is so fluid, and just because something is issued at 12 o'clock doesn't mean that 12:01, everything attached to it comes to a screeching halt. So I think we got to be mindful as a community as well. I do appreciate the interesting nature, because it is. It's kind of scary. I ain't gonna say kind of. It is scary, because I know for me, I respect offices, and to have an executive order come out, it's like your parent telling you to do some chores, and you know when they get home at 6 o'clock, if it's not done, you got some trouble. So I tend to try to respect those offices, so it's easy for people to think, oh, that came out at noon. What are we doing at 12:01? So I like that you did witness those hyperlinks not working, because I've seen all the heads kind of drop over here. So, Erin, you always do well at this as well. I want you to talk a little bit about that, the relationships with the public officials, the legislators, how that stuff trickles from the top down, so it doesn't come straight from an executive office right down into 5044 Mayfield.
Right, that is correct. But just like Ashley let us know who our local legislators are, those are the individuals who actually have the voice, who actually fight for us on a daily in regards to any executive order that comes down, any legislation that comes down from the House, the Senate, theaters, any of that. While we do have a voice here as school board members, and we appreciate the voice that we do have, we add that we appreciate the emails, we appreciate coming to the meeting, but unfortunately, this is something that is bigger than the 5 of us that sit at this table. So we do reflect back. We got a couple emails today. Our rebuttal here as a school board is we do ask that you stand in agreement with us, and we have contacted, just as you can, Erin Senenberg's office, who is our representative, as well as Ken Smith, who is our state who is our senator as of now. I will give you a little history. Ken Smith, I will let you know, he does fight and he does believe in public school education. Coming from his office, he started off as a school board member. So he does understand the fight. He does understand what is going on a daily in regards to education. So he can't be a voice, but I will let you know, we have reached out to these individuals as well. We have meetings scheduled to sit down with them to see how we can be, as school members, support to them and support to you as well. So if you have questions, if you have concerns, yes, email us, but also at the same time, we ask that you do reach out to those higher up individuals. Congresswoman Brown, she has had several and is having several
Round tables.
round tables and open houses. I believe if one wasn't just this week, it's coming up this Saturday. Is it coming up? It's coming up, and they welcome you. So we say, we're going to those meetings, but we say, come with us. Join us, because we appreciate your voice and we appreciate your help. But we here at this table, the 5 of us stand in agreement, and we appreciate any concern or question that you will have. You voted for us, and we appreciate your votes, and we do advocate for our children and our families.
Thank you. Nothing much. I do not see any other public comment. There is no need for executive session, Mr. Hill or Mr. Kaple.
Nope.
It is now 7:16. Can we get a motion to adjourn? Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We will see you all the next meeting. All in favor? Aye.